friends, strangers, and all humans alike, I am back at it again. Now, I'd like to start off this video by shouting out my first subscriber, my main man, my best friend for over 7 years, Harshal Jolly. And I'd also like to give a massive thank you to all of those that helped review and edit my first video. Also, a massive thank you to my first commenter, Collision of G, I believe your name is? Well, your YouTube handle. But thanks, dude. You actually gave me some solid advice. Dude is the correct PC gender neutral term, right? I don't know who I'm talking to. There's no one there. But you know what? Thanks, dude. You gave me some pretty solid advice. Let's just roll the intro. So, for those who've seen the thumbnail, you probably already know what's up. This is a series called What's Up with Blank. You know, I'm just going to be asking the question, what's up with a certain character? I'm not going to be analysing their history to see why they are the way they are. I'm going to be answering the question on what's going on in their beautiful, magnificent, villainous scheme of mind. You know, basically, if you watch Community, I'm going to Brit this thing. If anyone gets that reference, massive love to you. I've been getting into Community recently. I love it. Maybe I'll do an episode on Britta later. If you guys like that, drop a comment, drop a like, you know, all the standard stuff. Let's just move on. This week, I will attempt to determine what's up with Enigma from the Gotham TV show. Now, I will stick only to the source material found in the TV show, not the comic books, not any movies, not any cartoons or anything else, because I'm not sure how they kind of play into the canon of the TV show, so I'm just going to stick to what I find in a TV show. So, obviously, fair warning, there are going to be spoilers ahead. Here is a quick introduction to the character. Edward Nygma was a humble, riddle-loving, yet somewhat awkward forensic scientist for the Gotham City Police Department, obviously a total fictional police department inside the world of DC Comics and the Gotham TV show. And from now on, I will be referring to the Gotham City Police Department, as, you know, many police in the TV show do, as the GCPD. Now, Enigma had a small crush on the GCPD records keeper, Kristen Kringle, but she didn't really reciprocate his feelings, so he thought murdering her boyfriend was a good way to get her interests in his direction. Well, in his defense, that did kind of work out, but not as much as he was hoping it would, as it kind of fractured his psyche. Now, sit down, strap up, because your boy is about to drop some knowledge. Let's examine the symptoms displayed by Enigma. There are many times he feels like a stranger to himself. He constantly experiences visual and auditory hallucinations. There are many times where his behavior is out of the norm. Well, the norm for Ed, anyway. There are also many times where he feels as if there is another being within his headspace, another individual that isn't quite himself. Now, the NHS website and the Cleveland Clinic's website tell us that these symptoms align with some kind of dissociative disorder. The NHS website also defines dissociative disorders as a range of disorders that may cause physical and psychological problems. Anyone who experiences some kind of dissociative disorder has gone through some traumatic event during childhood, and it's not just during childhood, but more on that later on in the video. The point is that dissociation is the mind's way of coping with trauma, and what I'm going to do is explore the different dissociative disorders there are, and see which one fits with Enigma. According to the NHS, there are three main types of dissociative disorders. We have dissociative disorders of movement and sensation, we have dissociative amnesia, or dissociative identity disorder. Now, or that will be called DID for short. That's also the proper medical term for it. Let's start off by exploring this top one, Dissociative disorders of movement and sensation may include things like paralysis, seizures, or a general loss of sensation. Things like depersonalization or derealization may also play an element of dissociative disorders of movement and sensation. Now, depersonalization is the feeling that one is disconnected from their thoughts, feelings, and body, whereas derealization is the feeling that one's surrounding environment is foreign, odd, or even unreal. Now, there are many times in Season 1 where Enigma does experience depersonalization, but we'll get to that later. Now on to explaining what dissociative amnesia is. An individual with dissociative amnesia will experience periods of time in which the individual cannot recall certain events or information pertaining to themselves. They may even forget skills accumulated over the years. These gaps in memory are far too severe to be explained by general forgetfulness or even an underlying medical reason such as dementia. Now, one may also experience dissociative amnesia with fugue. An individual who experiences dissociative amnesia with fugue may forget things about who they are as opposed to certain events in their life. Dissociative amnesia with fugue may cause an individual to travel to a completely unknown place in a confused state and kind of wake up without any idea of who they are at all, whereas dissociative amnesia, one may just forget what happened over the past week. Now, this could last from anywhere between a day to several months or several years. Now, the last type of dissociative disorder I'd like to talk about is dissociative identity disorder, DID for short, just to remember. DID is a disorder in which individuals feel uncertain about their identity and who they are. One may feel the presence of other identities, each with their own personal histories, personas, names, voices, and mannerisms. Now, let's see how any of this applies to Enigma. Remember earlier on in the video where I said Enigma experiences some element of depersonalization? Yeah, I'm going to talk about it now. So, there are times in Season 1 where Enigma experiences depersonalization. This is primarily after killing Officer Dorothy. This was the boyfriend of his crush, Christine Kringle, the records keeper for the GCPD. Why do I gotta complicate everything? Honestly, I did this for the first JoJo's video. Actually, it was the Dio video. But it's really not that hard. I'm just overcomplicating it. Again, I don't know who I'm talking to. You know what? Let's just roll the clip.
You're the guy that likes riddles.
Why are you laughing, you fool? It's not funny.
What a creep.
She'll keep digging. Why did you have to leave a clue? Why? Relax. What can she find? What can she prove? Nothing. There's no body. Stop worrying. But she looks so sad and angry. I hate it when she looks at me that way.
Menacing and weird.
Please. Like it matters. Like you stand a chance with her. She knows how you feel about her and she treats you like dirt.
Treat you like dirt.
I don't care. I still love her. Oh! Listen to yourself! Be a man!
You're an odd man, Mr. Enigma.
You'll do better with that one if she's a little scared of you. Stop talking like that.
No riddles.
Formal complaints about you.
Just keeping it real. What's black and white and red all over? Stop!
I wouldn't quit your day job if I were you.
He is so weird.
In this clip, we can see that Enigma is wrestling with his own thoughts. There is a part of Enigma that wants to remain the humble, riddle-loving, slightly awkward scientist that he thinks himself to be. But there is another part of Enigma that hungers for more, desires for more, who takes what he wants because he feels like he deserves it. But this depersonalization still does not confirm that he may have dissociation of movement or sensation. because he doesn't exactly exhibit any other symptoms such as paralysis, seizures, or a general loss of sensation. He's still in somewhat control of his motor functioning. There are also times where he experiences dissociative amnesia, such as in Season 5, when he becomes a robotic killing machine and completely forgets about it. But this is explained, however, by one Dr. Hugo Strange, a mad scientist who installed a microchip in Enigma's brain that switches him in and out of robotic killer mode. It's a long story, okay? Watch Gotham, it's a great show. So, if it's not dissociative disorder of amnesia, if it's not a dissociative disorder of movement or sensation, if it's not dissociative amnesia, well, what else could it be? Well, as the show goes on, we see that the thoughts he's wrestling with, they kind of take their own form. They become a separate entity of their own. Let's look at this clip.
You've perhaps felt my affections from afar. Afar, really? Oh, God. Miss Kringle. Be quiet. I don't need your opinion. What you need is to stop mumbling and fumbling and tell her what's up. Well, she's been bullied and taken for granted for too long. And I want her to understand.
You saved her life! For God's sake! She owes you. Take what you deserve.
I'm really having fun with this clip thing, you know, it's new editing stuff. It's really exciting. You know what, let's just get back to the video. Now, we can see from this clip that the thoughts Nigma was wrestling with have been personified. They've taken an identity of their own. They have their own mannerisms and personality, a somewhat more flamboyant and confident persona. Now, from my explanations earlier of the different dissociative disorders, this should sound familiar to you, because to me, it sounds like a dissociative identity disorder. Let's explore this further. An article from Psychology Today defines dissociative identity disorder, DID for short, just as a reminder, as a rare condition in which two or more distinct identities or personality states are present and alternately take control of an individual. An individual may also experience amnesia, far too extensive to be forgetfulness. We've been through this. DID is characterized by the fragmentation of one's identity as opposed to the emergence of a new one. Now, side note, this is also why it stopped being called multiple personality disorder, as it pertains to more of the splintering of one's psyche as opposed to a completely new persona forming. DID shows that an individual could not integrate various aspects of their identity, memory, and consciousness into a single multidimensional self. Usually, a primary identity, also known as the host, carries the individual's name and is more often than not passive, maybe a bit guilty, dependent, or even depressed. When a personality state, also known as an alter, takes control, the alter may be experienced as if they have their own history and self-image. The alter's characteristics may be in contrast with that of the host. Things like the alter's name, their reported age, their vocabulary and general vernacular, even their general knowledge and predominant mood may be completely different. The various identities may deny the knowledge of each other. They may also be critical of each other and appear to be in open conflict. Now, for those who watch Gotham, what I said earlier will sound somewhat familiar. For those that don't, allow me to catch you up. The other voice inside Ed's head, the other entity per se, calls himself the Riddler. Whenever the Riddler is in control, he is cold and calculating, whereas Ed is compassionate and loving. The Riddler hates and absolutely despises being called Ed because he sees Ed as weak and stupid. He sees Ed as being weaker than he is. They have two completely opposing personalities and ways of thinking, such as where the Riddler kills and manipulates for his own self-interest. Ed Nygma chooses to help those he loves, such as Kristen Kringle, the person who he murdered for. Sure, it was his own twisted kind of idea for love, but it was still love. He still feels a modicum of human emotion. However, the Riddler is nothing but a cold and calculating strategic mastermind. The two are constantly at odds, fighting for control, and I think this following clip shows it best.
Control! I am in control! Me, Enigma. But why would you want that? You don't understand. We had so much fun when we were me. Oh no. Tell me it's not that. Not what? I leave when spurned. I give all. I take nothing. I can raise you to a king or make you to a beggar. What am I? Okay, I'm just gonna tell you because you're not gonna get it. Love. I am in control! You're in love with Lee Tompkins, you pathetic loser. Shut up!
Despite the example I gave, the case study I used per se, and the other media coverage on DID, this is not a disorder that turns an individual into a psychotic serial killer. If anything, those with DID are victims. 90% of DID cases involve a history of some kind of emotional, physical, or even sexual abuse. Now, remember earlier when I said that DID is not just the cause of trauma happening in early childhood. Actually, DID has also been linked with accidents, isolation, natural disasters, or even an early loss of an important individual. Bottom line is that dissociation is seen as a coping mechanism that one may use as a disconnect from a stressful or traumatic situation, or to separate traumatic memories from normal awareness. This allows individuals to break the connection from the outside world and create a distance from an awareness of what's happening. Dissociation serves as a defense mechanism against physical and emotional pain from a traumatic or stressful experience. In this case, it was murder, granted, but still, that was traumatic for Ed. Dissociating helps an individual to maintain a healthy level of functioning, as it allows an individual to separate their painful memories from everyday thought processes. The Riddler was only born because Ed Nygma could not handle the stress of what he had done. Out of passion, he murdered someone, and the gravity of this situation, the stress of it all, fractured his psyche. The Riddler, unlike Ed Nygma, had a plan. He was cold, he was calculating, and he got the job done. He allowed Ed to get away with murder for a time. He did eventually get found out. Again, watch the show. It is great. It takes you through so many emotional roller coasters. The point is, the identity of the Riddler helped Edward Nygma deal and cope with murder and mayhem. It was born because he needed him. And that marks the end of the video. Please like and subscribe. Comment if you think I've left anything out, and also comment if you just generally liked or learned something. Also comment if you have any other video ideas of a character for me to analyze. And with that, I bid you goodbye and good night.